Welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, your go-to resource for personal development and coaching. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today's episode is for all of you who are business owners or want to be a business owner. We're going to talk about business in 2024. I've been having lots of conversations recently with the different people in my life all about business and how business has changed and some of the challenges business owners have been facing over the past 2 years. And so today I wanted to bring an episode to you all to talk about some of these challenges that are being shared across business so that if you are experiencing these challenges, you understand that this is something happening across not only the industry or many industries, but also across business generally. And I think it's really helpful to know that so that you're not increasing a mindset that there is something wrong with you. Because one of the things I've learned as a business owner over the years is that in order to be successful in business, part of being successful is about how you sustain downturns in your business. And that could be an economic downturn, but it could also be an energetic downturn. You might go through something in your life where you just don't have the same capacity or energy or time available to give to your business. And for those of you who aren't in business, who are still listening to this episode, you can think about it in the same way in terms of any other job in your life. Because you're a human, things change. We go through cycles. There are ups, there are downs. That is a very, very normal part of being a human. Sometimes you're going to be more happy than other times. Sometimes it feels like everything's flowing for you. Other times you feel less happy and it feels like things aren't flowing for you so much. It's the same in work and business too. But I think that we've been sold this idea that everything should just go up and up and up. Actually, a number of years ago, I was talking to one of my clients about how in the personal development industry, we take away the belief that once we've worked on our mindset or once we've worked on our life, that means we will never experience any other issues in our life again. And as every coach and every person along the personal development path gradually realizes, it doesn't mean that you don't face challenges or problems. Life is going to life. There's always going to be changes. But what you do develop is your capacity to meet those problems, to meet those changes and not have them completely sidesweep you so that you completely fall apart. That is life. And it's also the same for business. It's never going to be up and up and up. And sometimes there will be years of revenue, years of the amount of clients, years of delivery, years of team success, where it feels like everything's flowing really well. Your systems are great. Everything's really working together and talking together in a beautiful way. And then there will be seasons or even years of your business where that is not the case. And it doesn't necessarily mean that this business isn't right for you, although sometimes it is showing you that there are pivots to be made. So learning how to tell the difference. Is this something that I just need to sustain and find ways to support me through this downturn? Or is this actually showing me that I need to pivot in some way? This is a question that every business owner faces, no matter how successful you are. Because in order to be successful, it's about being adaptable and flexible, knowing when you need to pivot and knowing when you just need to knuckle down and not make significant changes, but just sustain yourself through a season of an economy or of an energetic capacity, of a situation you're facing. For instance, let's talk about team. Just imagine that you've got someone in your team or a number of people in your team who are really crucial to helping you deliver your business products and services, and they've got really significant things going on in their life. Maybe their health is being affected. Maybe they're not feeling as motivated by the work they're doing anymore. Who knows, whatever the issue or challenge is, but there is a number of people in your team being affected. That's going to impact your business. And it could be that this is just a passing season. Perhaps if it's to do with health, it's just that there's going to be less people who have the time and energy available to show up in the business in the way they once did. But because you're taking a long-term approach, you know that this is a season. So you can sustain that downturn by perhaps bringing on more support just for a season, which might mean less profit for you as a business owner, but it is what enables you to sustain the business and keep moving forward. Or it means that the other people in the team just need to pick up some of that slack for a little bit. And they're willing to do that because they know, hey, if I've got something going on with me and it affects my ability to show up at the capacity that you're used to me showing up, it means that we're going to have this agreement that we will support each other. So this flux that is experienced in life is experienced in business too. And it's really important to know that. So let's talk about business in 2024. So over the past 2 years particularly, many businesses have been struggling. This means that many business owners have been struggling too. Now, I use the word struggling in inverted commas because how we define what struggling is made up. We get to decide whether struggling means one particular definition or whether it means something else. And rarely using the term struggling does it actually even help us. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is if you have been using this term to describe yourself or to describe business in general, I want you to just stop for a moment and ask yourself, what do I mean when I use this word struggling? Does it mean that the business is making less money right now? Does it mean that the business is making less money than I used to make last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Like, what are you even comparing it to? Does it mean that there's issues with your deliverability? Does it mean that there's a leads issue? Does it mean that there is a conversion issue? Does it mean that there's a team issue? You really want to get specific on identifying what the struggle actually is. Now, struggles that a lot of business owners have been having over the past 2 years is that they're experiencing significant changes in what is working in their business. And that's obviously impacting their business revenue, possibly also impacting the amount of people they have coming into their offers, perhaps impacting their analytics in terms of their funnels, their social media, their content, the number of people who show up to their events or their free offerings. And so people who are experiencing these changes are seeing this as a problem and often using the term, I'm struggling. But actually what is happening is the facts around what that specific change is. And it's really helpful to be really clear on what that change is so that you can help yourself actually make the changes that you need to move your business in the direction that you want it to move. So that's the first thing. There have been changes to the way things have been working, and that has led many business owners to seeing either reduced profits, reduced revenue, or reduced effectiveness in their business. Now, a lot of this is a result of the economy, the downturn, the recession, and it could be that actually because our mind believes there is a recession going on, when you see issues in your business, you decide that this is just a result of the economic downturn, and then you don't actually show up to solve what the actual problem is in your business. That is the case for many people. And it's also true that we have been in a different economy. And not only is it a different economy, but we're also at a turning point in terms of the technology that we all use. So what was once working, and for instance, if we just look at social media, the social media environment that we now live in is very different to the environment that existed years ago, and things are changing. AI is well and truly here. Advertising is huge, whereas back in the day, advertising was that when you went onto social media, you weren't shown as much advertising. Your reach as a business was much further organically. So you could actually have people see your content with much higher numbers. And many people are comparing themselves to that past when now, because social media has so many people on the platforms, they've been able to, they don't need more people to be on the platforms, the people who run the social media. They don't need that. What they want is more revenue. So they're going to favor advertising, and they're going to reduce the reach of your organic post to try to get you to pay for advertising to play and pay the game. This is just the changing nature of social media. It's a reality. And so you need to not compare your results to a completely different environment that existed years ago that probably will never ever exist again. And instead, you need to look at how you can progress based on the current climate and what that progression would actually look like. So rather than comparing your results to years ago, you might be comparing your results to months ago instead. But a lot of us, a lot of business owners are doing the opposite. They are comparing their results to years ago rather than looking at how they can progress now in this current market. From what I've observed in a number of the people I've been talking about and really looking at what's happening in their business, I've noticed that the consequence of this change to social media and the emphasis on advertising, for instance, has led people to reducing the amount of time they devote to showing up on social media, which is very tempting, right? Because when you're seeing that the results you're getting are much lower than they have been in the past, this makes you wonder whether social media is still an effective strategy. What I noticed and observed, and I did something similar, although for different reasons, is that a lot of people stepped away from social media. And what I've noticed is in 2024, a lot of people have come back to social media, realizing that it is a really important part of their business model. But their expectations of social media are the same. And that is completely unrealistic because the landscape, the environment is just different. And so you need to be assessing your results according to that current landscape. So when people see that there's a big drop in social media reach, it's harder, they stop using it as much, they don't put as much emphasis on using it, and then they realize it's actually an important part of their business model. So what we're realizing here is that it's not that we don't need to use social media or that it's not helpful for the business. It's just that perhaps the life cycle of bringing in someone through social media as a lead into your business and then moving them through the way you nurture all of those leads through your business is actually perhaps just a longer cycle. And so it's not about stopping the cycle or the funnel, you might call it, by not being on social media, not showing up as much. It's about shifting your expectations of that process. Now, of course, you can ask yourself, how can we quicken the process? How can we make that life cycle shorter? Are there any tweaks to make? But when you stop pouring people into the funnel from social media, you then don't have anyone moving through that process. And this is the result of not getting specific on what the struggle or the challenge is that you're facing in your business. When we equate everything that's happening in the business as not working, it doesn't allow us to really identify what isn't working and whether what we describe as not working is actually what we think it is. So I hope that example of social media is really helpful for showing you how something that you might call the economy is actually probably more related to just a different climate in terms of technology that is impacting your business. Another change that you might have noticed is that if you've been using webinars or live launches and trainings, free trainings particularly, as a way to bring in new leads into your business and then also perhaps use that as a conversion mechanism in your business, you might have noticed that you've got fewer people showing up for those live events. And this is super interesting because this might lead you to believe, well, these just don't work anymore. But if you take a look around and you have a look at what some of the biggest businesses in the industry are doing, you'll notice that they're still doing a lot of the same things they've been doing in the past. Probably what's happening is their results have just shifted. They're probably experiencing a lot of the same shifts that you're experiencing on a much bigger scale. And the difference is that they've just stayed in the game. They've kept doing these things. They've just shifted their expectations because the business is in a different season. It's through a downturn. And so our expectations and our goals need to be different. So what I'm seeing in business in 2024 is that while the results may have shifted in terms of your analytics, in terms of your dollar results, in terms of the number of clients that might be in your programs, and any other result that you want to think of, the way that those results are created and the strategies that work are still very much the same. It's just the numbers from those strategies are a little different. So social media and/or advertising is still important. Making connections and being seen is still important. Email is still important. Having an offer is still important. Selling and marketing is still important. Even websites are still important. It's so helpful to look at all the things that haven't changed when it feels like so many things are changing, given the time and the period that we're in right now as a collective. So that's what I'm seeing is still being really important. I'm still seeing a lot of launching and webinars and doing free trainings and things like that as still also being really effective and being chosen by many of leading businesses across different industries. What I'm seeing that is different is expectations, the way we measure analytics and the standards that we're holding ourselves to, and customer life cycle seems to be slower. And that could be the result of people spending less during what has been described over and over and over and over again. And I'm not going to comment on, the truth of it or not, but when we live in a time where we're constantly being told this is a recession, this is an economic downturn, the result of that, if you keep hearing this all the time, is that you're not going to want to spend as much. But that's not true for everyone. People are still out there spending, and recessions pass, economic downturns pass, just as there will be times when the economy is booming. So part of being an effective business owner is learning how to weather those downturns as well as those times of economic boom. Because if you measure everything that you want to achieve in your business based on a boom, that's the same as measuring everything you want to achieve based on a recession. It's only going to be a season. So something we have to get really good at as business owners is knowing how to sustain ourselves through a downturn. And there are ways of doing that. And one of the most obvious ways is just simply reassessing the results that you're expecting from yourself. And you would do this by looking at your entire business model, your entire funnel, and looking at what actually needs to be shifted based on what you're seeing in your business. In addition to this, you also might need to look at other ways of bringing income into your business. It might be that you've had to cut business expenses as well. A change that's definitely apparent is that more people are using AI in their businesses. Now, you may have ethical concerns about AI, and to a large extent, I do agree with those concerns. What this is now seeing is that more people will be using machines to be doing some of the work that once upon a time humans were actually doing. So this could be an advantage to you if it's cheaper for you as a business owner and perhaps you didn't really have the revenue to support that work. And it can also be not great if you're someone who depended on that work from other businesses. But what this does present to you is an opportunity to pivot potentially. So asking yourself whether you need to pivot in terms of the offers that you've created, or even just tweaking those offers to make them more relevant for the market that you're in today. This is also a very natural part of business. Your offers will evolve over time to meet what consumers and your community, your clients are asking for. And so you do need to be on the ball with this, but you also need to recognize that just because you have a downturn doesn't necessarily mean your offer and the way you've been offering it and running it needs to change. It depends on so many different aspects of your business, the results that you're seeing, and also what your goals are as a business. Another option could be that instead of making any changes to your offers, you recognize that perhaps the life cycle that a customer goes through from first entering your business into becoming a customer and working their way through your offers, if you've got multiple offers, is just longer. And it could be that you're willing to wait for that cycle to be moved through. And so the way that you support your business in staying afloat during this time is actually simply through diversifying your income streams. This could be done within the business and or it could be done outside of the business. So there are lots of different options and we can get creative. Now, also, it's really helpful to know that during times of economic downturn, these have been incredible opportunities for innovation and creativity. Some of the best businesses that we know today came out of an economic downturn. Why? Because the person faced resistance, it got them to think in new ways. This led to even better products and services being created and to that business remaining relevant because of the pivots that they made. So rather than seeing any struggles or external resistance that you're facing within your business as a problem, also look at it through the lens of this being an opportunity, because you never know what you're going to see when you see it in that way. When you see it as a problem, I'm just struggling, maybe it's not working anymore, this just closes your brain down and it has you not seeing the opportunities that are available around you. And it will take trying things and seeing what actually works. This is okay. We're not meant to be perfect all the time. It's not true that everything just works out. Every single business owner that has had any success has had periods where there have been failures and periods where there are successes. And it doesn't end just like in life. Okay, so this is why you're seeing some businesses shifting their offerings and then others not shifting their offerings and people having success either way. Some people may not be experiencing the results that they want right now, but they recognize they're just sustaining a downturn and that's their strategy in their business. So it's really important not to compare yourself to what you're seeing around you because one, you don't know what results those businesses are creating, and two, those results and their goals may not be aligned with your own. That's something you need to decide for yourself. And it's also what works in one business might not necessarily work in your business. That is true all of the time in business. Okay, there's one more pattern I want to talk about from the last couple of years that you will see showing up in 2024 in business. And that is, you've probably noticed that there are a number of really successful business owners who are now talking about descaling their business, going back to basics because they don't want to manage a big team. This is really helpful to see because number one, it shows you how many businesses achieved a lot of success, particularly financially, and that success was built on a big team. This means in terms of profitability, profit is in most cases most likely lower than you expect in order to sustain that big team. And two, it shows you that that business model worked for that person only as long as they really enjoyed managing a big team. So sometimes we compare ourselves to other people's success and other businesses, and we want to get to where we see this particular business get to, but we don't realize the reality of actually getting to that place. And I know that many of you get into business because you want freedom, you want impact and meaning, and you're very creative. And as you grow your business, there gets to a point where you realize, look, I've just got to bring on team. And that's great up until perhaps a certain point for you. And then perhaps at some point, you don't actually want to manage that many people in your business. So it's really helpful to just get clear on what it is that you enjoy when it comes to business. Now, The other aspect of this team issue is that for some people, you think you don't like managing a team at all or a big team, but actually you just haven't learned the skills of management. That is all about relationships, and it is a skill that most people don't learn until they actually need to. Now, if you're learning that skill as your business is in a place of boom, you probably don't have the time to invest in actually learning those skills. You're just trying to put out fires. So one of the best times and strategies businesses implement in a period of an economic downturn, or where you're experiencing this extended life cycle in your business, which means results are slower and you might need to bolster your income in other ways, is actually focusing on team and learning those skills to build a successful team. Because when you do have a great team, whether it's a small one or a big one, it helps significantly in your experience as a business owner. So learning about yourself, learning whether you want to have a big team or not, learning what your gaps are in terms of managing a team, in terms of relationship skills around team, is really helpful to be looking at right now. And also, if you do have a team, taking the time to look at your team now and work out how to support the team to be more effective, so that when business is up, you are ready to sustain that boom in your business. So the way I see it is smart businesses are doing this right now. And as I talk to many of my friends across different industries in global businesses that make a lot of money, that is what those businesses are doing. They're not hiring right now, but they are looking at team, and they're making team more effective. They're investing in their training of their team. They're looking at how to upskill their team, and also a real focus on management in really adopting the skills that are needed to be effective managers. Okay, so there we have it. These are some of the things I wanted to share about what I'm seeing in business in 2024, and also just a reflection on how business has changed over the last couple of years. I felt strongly that it was really important to share this episode with you all today to talk about these patterns in this topic, because I'm seeing so many people think that there's something wrong with them as a business owner, as a person, when actually what is happening is being felt across business generally. And I've personally been inside many communities with multi-million dollar businesses, and the same is happening inside those communities too. They're experiencing less revenue in the business, or lower revenue in the business, lower results through all of those same strategies I was talking about. And what needs to change is not necessarily their offer. It's not necessarily their strategies. It's actually just their expectations of this time right now. So if you're experiencing any of these patterns we've spoken about today, or anything really resonated or was a big shift for you, I hope you really pay attention to that and really help yourself in defining what the problem actually is for you, and what your expectations should be, and how you support yourself through this season of business. Okay, so with all of that said, I want to let you all know that I have been increasingly interested in how we come together and collaborate more as people in business, rather than you having a business, you having a business, I having a business, you having a business, and all of us running a very similar operation independently. When we're all trying to do something on our own, it just means that there's less impact, rather than when we come together and really support one another. This is why typically when it comes to my business offerings in the past, I've tended to focus on group offerings, like my holistic business Mistress Mind, which has supported many people in being in business, not feeling alone, and learning from the group in order to stay on top of what's happening in business trends, and also just providing each other with the motivation to stay motivated, and recognizing that you're not alone in your journey as an entrepreneur, because it's very easy to feel like that. And many people who are in business don't necessarily have close people around them who are also in business too. So it's really, really helpful to have that collaboration. And I would say even more important at this time and this season of business. So I want to let you know two things. The first is my Holistic Business Mistress Mind is coming back. Enrollment will be opening soon. I recommend you make sure you're on my newsletter so that when that opens, you hear about it. And also, if you stay tuned to the podcast, I'll also be announcing more details about that there. The most important thing I want you to know is that I've also opened up a new service. It's a business support service. And this is for any of you, if you're in business, whether you've got a new business or an established business. I'm now offering bespoke and customized business support packages where I actually come on as a member of your team to help you do the work in your business. I'm really excited about this because through most of my business journey since 2017, I've been supporting business owners, coaching them to build their own support services, and I've taught people how to be a business owner. But now I'm actually going in and just doing the work that I'm really skilled at for my clients where they choose this business support option. So business support services include online business management. It includes social media and content management, marketing and sales processes, and project and team management. So for example, one of my clients at the moment, she's busy, she's a mum, she's got her business, which is in the therapy space, and she just isn't seeing herself show up on social media consistently, but she understands the effectiveness of social media and she wants to be on there. So instead of trying to get herself to create time where she doesn't have it, she's asked for support. So the way that I'm supporting her is I'm giving her a very clear guide to what content she creates. Every single month, I tell her, this is what you need to create content on. Here are the topics. Here's how you approach it. This is the structure. Like, it's so simple for her. So all she needs to do is respond with her inspiration to the very specific prompts and structure I've given her. I give her a social media calendar every month in order to focus her attention. She submits her content to me each week. I review it. And then if there's any obvious edits that need to be made, we make them. Otherwise, I go ahead and get them put in all the right places for her. I execute a strategy. I look at her analytics, and then I give her information to progress the next month based on those results. It's a really simple process and it makes a huge difference for her so that now she's been able to consistently show up on social media. I love this because for me, this is so easy and it allows me to collaborate and work with another person in their business, which I find creatively just really, really inspiring. I love this because when it's your own business, you're so up close to the details, it can be hard to see the really obvious things, especially when it comes to content. So when I'm working on someone else's business, it's very easy for me to see what messaging they need, what systems they need, what strategies they need. And it's great offering the business support services now because I can just go in and do all of these things really easily. Another example is you might already have a team. You might have people sorting out your content, your social media. Maybe you've got support coaches or someone helping you to run whatever your service is or your product. And you feel like you need to be all over your business, every aspect of it all the time. And all the decisions are just on you. And you just want someone who will help you make the big decisions for your business. And especially when it comes to perhaps your marketing and sales process, your team management, what you're focusing your attention on as a business in terms of your projects. And so what you need here is actually more like online business management. So that would look like someone actually overseeing your team, overseeing your projects, overseeing your marketing and sales processes, overseeing your social media and content, and being the person that people come to have all of those questions answered instead of you. Instead of you managing all of these things, your online business manager, which would be me, manages these things. And then I am your direct contact so that you're just dealing with me to then filter it down into all the other people and areas of your business. Now, this is also great because when it comes to marketing and sales, it can feel like you have to make lots of big decisions all of the time and you don't have someone to bounce it off. The great thing about me is that obviously I'm a business owner, I've had lots of experience, and you get to have like a partner in your business who's going to take on your business with as much responsibility to match you so that you truly feel like you have a partner in the business. This is my big discovery with building teams over the years, is that it's so much better to have people in your business who have experience of running a successful business, which obviously is harder to find because usually they're running their own business. But it makes such a significant difference because all the decisions that people make in your business, including those on your team, need to be made with business goals in mind. And some people just don't think this way. But what you need to understand if you are a team member is if the business is not generating income, if the business goals are not being met, you're not going to have a job anymore if that doesn't get sustained. So you do have to take a really active role in the success of the business. And that's one of the biggest things I see absent from a lot of people in their teams. For me personally, when it comes to hiring team, that is the number one thing I'm looking for, which is what led me to offering this service, because I think it's really hard to find someone willing to do this work and come on your team, be a partner in your business without it being an agency. And if it's someone who's not in an agency model, then it's usually someone who hasn't had that business success, and you notice the impact of that over time. So if this is something you're interested in, you want to find out more, I'm basically creating a completely customized package based on what you and your business needs. And you can find all the details on my coaching page on my website. There's not a dedicated page for this yet. Go to leticiaringe.com/coaching, scroll down the page to business support services. Just use the apply button, and then you'll see one of the questions is which program do you want to apply for in the drop down menu. You'll just select business support services. Now you can also pair this with business coaching, but you can also just do business support services on its own. So it really depends on what your budget is. When you answer all of the questions in the apply now, make sure you put exactly what you want support with or what the issues are in your business. And then also let me know what your budget is so that I can come back and really help you have a package that's going to work with your business needs and also the budget that you have. Once again, that's at leticiaringe.com/coaching. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave it here. I hope that this was really helpful for you all. I'll see you in our next episode. Thank you for listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, your go-to resource for personal development and coaching. To deepen your learning and practice, make sure you're subscribed to receive our community newsletter. Subscribe at leticiaringe.com/newsletter. And if you haven't yet left a 5-star review for the podcast, we ask that you please do that now so that this podcast can reach other listeners who also want to join us in creating a life that is beautiful.